I just had to
You got that.
crawl up.
Yeah,
My stomach was so bad. I wanted to quit so many times.
So good, babe. All right, awesome. Okay, 12:31.
I am back in Colorado, and it's finally here. Tomorrow is the Leadville Trail 100 bike. But before we get into that too much, let me go back just a little bit. If you're new here, my name is Steve. I'm a husband, a dad of 3 amazing boys, and a guy with a full-time job and big dreams. I'm on a journey to get healthy and fit through mountain biking, proving to my kids and myself that you don't have to give up on your goals, even when life's full. If you're trying to hold on to your dreams while showing up for your family, you're not alone. Welcome to the ride. So before ever coming to Leadville or even visiting Colorado, Leadville has actually meant a lot to me because I've followed endurance events, ultra marathons, of all sorts for a long time. Since I was young, I've been watching and admiring what they can do and just how far people can push their bodies and train. And the run and the bike for Leadville have been iconic in my mind. And it always felt like something that I would loosely think about someday. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be really cool if I could do that? And for the longest time, I dismissed my size and genetics and the path that I had taken in life as, well, that would be cool, but it's not for me. That's not something that I can do. It's not something that someone my size can do. And thankfully, over time, and actually I want to say a huge, part of that is YouTube and the content that's available, you see more and more people of all shapes and sizes and colors and backgrounds and whatever doing these events. And you'll see, maybe they're not the ones winning the event, but you'll see people like me who are heavier, bigger people doing these really long events and finishing under the cutoffs or even finishing in kind of an elite category. So that's something that really started creeping into my mind a bit, especially as I really had kind of fallen pretty far off of my health and fitness journey. So, at some point after college, many years of no longer being in sports and all that, I had found myself, from the low 200s playing soccer and playing sports and hiking and running around and camping and all that to a pretty sedentary life. And I crept over 300 pounds. I think at my heaviest, I was right around 315. That was certainly a time period in life when I was not weighing myself regularly. So could have been worse, but I eventually tried a few different things, tried triathlons, got into running a little bit more, cycling for triathlons, lost a little bit of weight, but life stuff kept happening, some minor injuries along the way, didn't quite keep up with it, and I didn't sustain that. And then eventually, when we were in Washington, I found CrossFit, started eating really well, trained consistently for years, and I was able to lose 100 pounds, and that was amazing. I was in really incredible shape. I was amazed at the journey that I had gone through, but I didn't stay there. So I ended up fracturing my back, and that was a really long road of ups and downs of trying to recover and figure out how to, live and adjust for that. And then we had kids, and before I knew it, I had gained a lot of that weight back. And so I find myself, still watching and admiring events like Leadville while sitting on the couch, very overweight and fairly sedentary again, eating a bag of chips, watching people do what I dream about doing. And then I start to think about my kids seeing that, and they see me having dreams or things that I would say that I would love to do someday. And I just knew that wasn't going to work. That was not how I was going to live, and that's not what I was going to let my kids see. And I had to turn that someday into an actual plan. And kind of around that same moment, there was an opportunity to be considered to do the Leadville 100 bike, and it was a little bit of a whim. Put my name out there along with a bunch of other people. It was essentially sort of a raffle or lottery type situation, and I did not expect to be drawn. It's just one of those things, like you enter a random giveaway and you don't win anything. So I was not ready to do the race or anything, and it was February when I did that of 2024. And then, of course, my name got selected. And I had to make the decision if I'm doing it. And of course, I said yes, even though I was not ready in any way, shape, or form. I didn't have a bike, hadn't been training, didn't even have like cycling clothes, shoes. I'd been mountain biking, but I did like the occasional downhill mountain biking, some trail riding, anything that involved as little pedaling as possible. So I knew how to handle a bike going downhill, but that's about it. Had never, didn't have like clip-in shoes, had never looked at nutrition stuff, anything like that. It was all brand new to me. So I dove in, embraced the experience, and the, long story short from that period is that I made it to Leadville, and I limped my way from cutoff to cutoff. The last cutoff I made within seconds, and I was able to cross the finish line in 12 hours and 48 minutes. So I got to finish, and I got a finisher's medal, but I didn't make the official cutoff time of 12 hours. So I was still proud of the effort, and it was really not about the outcome. It was about the transformation and the commitment and the hard work of training and seeing my body transform and my fitness transform. And even though I didn't get a buckle time of an official finishing time of under 12 hours, I was still really happy with how that year played out. But I also saw it as like, I got to keep this going. I got to get as fit as I can. I got to go as fast as I can, and build that foundation so that as my boys get older, I'll be able to keep up with them for as long as possible, and just see how fast I could go. So I kept training and wasn't able to do the 100 in 2025, but I came out and did the Leadville stage race and was able to do pretty well in that, and showed that I'm making improvements. And now I'm back here 2026 doing the Leadville 100 again. This is the fire year. This is an adjusted course for the Willow Fire. It is less overall elevation gain, less climbing. It's a couple less miles. It should be faster. So I definitely can't compare my 2024 time to this time, but generally speaking, there's a somewhat of a comparison. I'll be able to compare some segments. They've tightened the buckle times by about 45 minutes, so that gives me some indication of how to compare my 2024 time a little bit. So that gets you up to speed. If you didn't see my last videos from the Leadville stage races, that was just a couple weeks ago that I was here. Got some good exposure to Leadville and the elevation that we're at here, and that was some good prep for the 100. The courses were a lot harder, and this is obviously a lot longer of a day, but less climbing per mile, so that's going to be interesting. So you're caught up. Thanks for going through that little backstory of how we got here. It's the Friday before the race, so less than 24 hours till the race starts. So we have the athlete meeting coming up, let me go back. So we got in Wednesday, and yesterday, Thursday, I got my bike back together. I left my bike here, got my bike back together, was able to do a ride, went to the expo, got my packet, walked around and saw some of the vendors, which I absolutely love that this is a big event and all the vendors, all the brands show up, and it's a really cool event. hung out in town a little bit and tried to lay low after that. Today is the athlete meeting in the morning.
Welcome back. Those are your first timers. Welcome home. My name is Garrett, your longtime race announcer. Back again.
Yes. Sons and daughters of First Lady of the Leadville Trail 100, Mary Lee.
We have a couple things that we're going to do in town. We'll probably enjoy the expo a little bit since the expo's happening again today. I'll probably tinker with my bike before or after that. And then I was able to get a entry for the Lost Canyon aid station. That was a new thing this year, that you were only getting a spot. You could only go to Lost Canyon and have a spot if you were drawn in a raffle, and I was able to get that, which is a huge relief because I didn't love the backup plans in place. So my wife is going to go from Outward Bound to Lost Canyon and back to Outward Bound, and that's our plan. But we have a setup window tonight, Friday night, that we're allowed to set up, which is great. So we have that setup window, and then it's just making sure I'm ready for tomorrow morning, getting all my bottles and nutrition ready, making sure Liz understands what's going where and what's needed, and maybe some backup plans, and making sure that everything's laid out and ready to go so that the morning is as smooth as possible. So that's what's in store. I'll bring you along. Thanks for being part of the journey and the story here. Okay, it is time to prep bottles and nutrition. We've already done the athlete meeting, did the video interview, which was really nice. Went to the expo, gorgeous Leadville day. And now we're just trying to get organized. It does not look organized yet. But here's a couple problems for you to avoid if you do this. So part of my current situation is due to the fact that we didn't really know anything about our crewing situation until like right before coming. There were too many different options. I was looking at neutral aid or drop bags, whatever. And so I didn't have enough bottles to basically just pre-make all the water bottles with all the mix and everything in them. And we also didn't have, as an alternative, like a container, baggies essentially, for weighing out all the exact mix for Liz to just refill all the bottles. So we solved that problem because Liz and I both had different little like pills and supplements that we had packed, and different things that had little Ziploc bags. So we have enough Ziploc bags now that I can weigh out all the Tailwind nutrition that I have. And so I'm basically doing some Tailwind, part of this, not a whole pack. So that's the problem. If I was just using the whole thing, that'd be super easy, and just put this whole thing and this whole thing in, that'd be easy. But that's too much for me. So we're going to measure out exactly what we need, put this in, and then in one special bottle, I'll have some G1M Sport Plus. This is the one with the caffeine. So we'll have them all pre-mixed in Ziploc bags, and basically she'll just be able to dump the bags into the right ones. We'll make sure that the one that has the G1M Sport Plus is very specially marked in some way. We might put it in the orange bottle since I only have one orange bottle so that it stands out. But we're almost there. Liz is going to take us through the crew plan. Gone through it a couple times, but we keep tweaking and refining a little bit, so we'll call this the semi-final plan. Let's have
black
it.
Bottles?
They're in the fridge right now.
Can't do a what? The bright bottles. Okay. All right. Outward bound, outbound. You will hand me these, black and orange. I will give you black and black with a gel pack each. You will come to Lost Canyon and give me these, and I will give you the white with 2 gels or 1. Oh, darn it. With a gel and a pink. You will come down and give me the white. And I will give you the refilled black and black with a gel and a pink.
Yep. Lost Canyon is always a pink and a black gel.
And you'll get these two.
Yep.
Okay. Then I'll refill it with these two. Then you'll come to outward bound, inbound. You'll give me these two black ones, and I will give you the black and orange plus two gels. Which one of these bags has the...
It's over. I kept it separate right now,
Okay,
but it's
so
over
this
there.
will go in one of these, plus this, which has the caffeine in it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the finish line.
Yes, the finish line you'll get these.
Well, sure. The finish line is nothing. Just, yeah. We'll
Yeah.
go find stuff.
Okay.
That's
I'm gonna
it.
do that one more time.
All right, one more time.
All right. Outward bound, outbound. You'll come drop off black and orange. I will give you black and black, already filled, plus two green gels, one for each. Then we'll go to Lost Canyon. You'll drop off the black and black. I will give you the white with the black and pink. You will come back to Lost Canyon inbound, and I will give you the black and black refilled with these and a black and pink. Then I will see you at outward bound inbound. I will give you the black and orange refilled. Black and black gets this one, plus two green gels, and the orange one gets this, which
You
has
got it.
caffeine.
That's it. Good job. All right, there's the plan. We've got it. Got it fairly manageable. We're going to go to Lost Canyon in just an hour or so and see the new setup. It actually is very, very different. They are doing a very different thing this year where they want the crews to feed on the right side of the course. So basically, since it's an out and back, if you're heading out, it'll be on one side. On the inbound, crews will go to the other side, but the tents will be somewhere separate, as opposed to the tents just lining the whole course and you just kind of pull off on the course. So should be safer, but definitely different. You're gonna have to really be watching out for your person and know a good time, because it's hard to know when they're coming.
Where's my special hat?
But yeah, we do have a special hat for Liz in my suitcase to help hopefully make her stand out a little bit. I'm sure everyone will be wearing one, but here's Liz's bright hat. Hopefully that helps stand out. She's only 5'2", but hopefully that makes a difference to stand out a little bit. I think it will. But yeah, that's the game plan. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. So,
All right, so we set up at Lost Canyon, and all that I can say is that I hope this is not what we do next year. That was a little bit chaos, but basically they're just putting all the tents. Like if you've done it in the past or seen videos in the past.
I'm gonna pull away for a second. I want to get this. What it looks like.
Then what you've probably seen is all along the course, it's lined with tents, but that's not how it's going to be. They're going to cluster all the tents together, and then they're going to, have people move, like the crew will move from the tent to the course and stand along the course in designated feed zones. And that's where you'll do your bottles and stuff like that. So, so I don't know if they've really alleviated much, but whatever. We're gonna make it work, and we have a spot, and Liz will get here. I think parking is still gonna be a little bit of a nightmare, and that's that's always been an issue with Lost Canyon, is you park so far away, and you have to walk forever. But it is what it is. So yeah, but got our tent, got a spot. Liz will have a nice spot in the shade to hang out for a couple hours, and I'll do my best to make her not wait so long. So good morning. It's race day. Alright, I've got 2 things of Quaker maple brown sugar oatmeal. I'm sipping on some coffee. I'm not really going to drink a whole lot of coffee, but just sipping on some coffee to get some things moving, basically. But yeah, we're getting some food in. I have some extra electrolytes I'm trying to take in. I'll get changed, get my bottles and stuff loaded, and we'll be on the road in about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, somewhere around there. We are on our way. It's 5:15 a.m. and got on the road. We are probably about 10 minutes from Leadville, which is nice. So good timing. We have a very special place to park, which is nice. So we have a little less to think about and worry about when we get there. But double and triple checked that we brought everything, and the only thing that we forgot so far that we remembered is ibuprofen, which I desperately wanted last time. So we'll see. Liz might stop and find some, or might see if someone else has some before things get going too much in the morning. But yeah, if all goes well, I'll get in, get my bike together and fully dialed, and make sure that I have my nutrition all set. Right gels, that pretty much everything organized already. Just got to put it in place. Yeah, I think there's too much to it. I'll do my warm-ups, have a little caffeine, a little extra carbs. I think the timing of that is always a little tough, because you end up having it earlier than you would like to have, but we have to get lined up in our corrals, and if you don't get lined up soon enough, then you kind of just get forced to the back of the corral, which I don't know how much that matters too much, especially with this big downhill start that Leadville has for the first couple miles. But yeah, that's the game plan for this morning, and we'll. One thing that happened yesterday that was a little stressful was that I was just tinkering with my bike a little bit and noticed that my rear tire had gone flat. And it's not too uncommon when you put new tires on, and I did the insert in my rear, had put the sealant in, and had gone for a ride, so I was a little surprised. Definitely a little stressed out by it, but thankfully someone gave me the step-by-steps of things to check and what to do, and put a little dish soap and water in a spray bottle and sprayed all over the rim around the bead and the nipples of the spokes, the valve stem, just to watch for any air coming out. And sure enough, found air coming out the valve core, and there was a little bit, just tiny little bits of air bubbles around the rim. So ended up putting in a new core, put in a little extra sealant, and pumped it up, quite a lot, just to try to help seat it any bit more. And then laid the wheel flat for 30 minutes on each side, Yeah, good news is tires are fine this morning, so everything's good. Yeah, so going smooth so far. All right, starting line, kind of in the back of the Blue Corral. If you're curious, this is what it looks like. Pros already went off. Next crowd's about to start. What's up?
Yeah, she's around.
What up? We're ready. We're here. Welcome to the 2027 Leadville 100 bike, the Willow Fire Edition. 101 miles, right around 10,000 feet of elevation. A different course, but still ended up being a pretty tough day for me. And spoiler alert, it's one that I felt far worse after than the one that I did in 2024 that took me almost 13 hours. But anyway, it was a beautiful Leadville morning. It was about 45 degrees, and even before the sun came up, it felt pretty warm, pretty mild compared to some other times that I've been in the area. The hard part is that once you start rolling, you cross the finish line, you head down 6th Street, it gets cold quick because you're at speed, and then you make your way into this little valley, and it feels quite cold down there. So I wish I had a little bit more to keep me warm, but the nice thing is that I didn't have to worry about shedding anything or tossing anything off to the side. But I will have a little bit of side-by-side footage here with my wife, who's my one-person crew, so you'll see a little bit of footage from her throughout. But here we are. The race has officially begun, and in this downhill, you could just kind of coast through it and just carry your speed, but a lot of people start thinking about getting ahead of others before the St. Kevin's climb. And I was thinking about it a little bit, but I just held back because I just didn't know where exactly I was with all these other people. I'm certainly slower on the climbs, but I don't want to be caught behind a bunch of people being forced to walk, and that's a very real scenario for a lot of folks. So it's just something you have to know, and it definitely gets better with some experience. But it starts off pretty mellow, so this is kind of your last chance to find good position. And I'm also starting to evaluate people who look like they might not be pushing hard, looks like they might be a little unsure of themselves in terms of bike handling and such. And there's a lot of bike handling to try to navigate around people and pick the right lines, and in some sections there are very few lines. So this is a tough section, and you really just have to do your best to manage and decide, are you going to push or are you going to get off and walk? And this year I did my best to just push, and I actually made the whole climb without ever stepping off.
Okay, Steve is off as of about 6:42. It was about a half an hour ago. It's 7:12. I stopped at the gas station because he forgot his ibuprofen. Last time he was really needing that by the last check-in aid station that I saw him at. So grab that, grab acetaminophen also just in case. Some extra water, protein shake for me, also just in case. And now I'm headed to the first aid station outward bound. A long line of cars, but we have plenty of time. He probably won't be there for another 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So, see you there.
So we're getting fairly close to the top of the hardest pitches of St. Kevin's, and I'll take a second to just talk about my nutrition plan, which a little bit of a spoiler, didn't go super well, but I had planned to average right around 85, 90 grams of carbs per hour, and I started off okay. I started off slightly behind because it was a cold morning and I just wasn't thirsty, and I was trying to remind myself to drink, but I had some carb mix in a bottle, and then I had gels, and I had they were 40-gram gels with extra sodium in them from Science and Sport, and so I was taking one of those an hour. So I stayed on top of the gels, but I ended up not taking one bottle, and I felt really good. I was really excited and happy about how well I did on this climb section. It's the first time ever that I've done the entirety of St. Kevin's without coming off. So I was starting off the day pretty happy.
Okay, so Steve just crossed the first aid station, Carter Summit. I'm making my way to the pit area so I can get ready to meet him for the first handoff.
Curve, watch the curve, watch the curve.
This section you're watching is part of the new reroute, and it's just a screaming downhill descent, super fun. You can see I take this turn coming up here a little too hot and cross the center line around a curve, which isn't a good idea. A lot of people were doing it on this day in the pro field too. Thankfully I was able to see through that corner, and I had actually gotten to pre-ride this, so I knew the corners fairly well, but it was only one time, so it wasn't totally perfect, but enough to just kind of enjoy the descent. And it's not an area that I'm going to gain a lot of time, so I just enjoyed the downhill, and when the grades eased up a little bit, took in some nutrition. And as you get down towards the bottom, it's fairly flat, a little bit of rollers all the way into Outward Bound aid station.
Great job, guys, great job.
Yeah! Looking good!
You don't have to refill that black one.
Very much.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very cold.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you. You're doing awesome. Okay, I am leaving outbound, headed to Lost Canyon. Steve is running about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, which is great. We did the handoff. He did not go through one of his bottles. I'm a little bit worried about him being underfueled at this point. Either that, or it's possible he's not able to take in that much just from a GI comfort perspective. So not enough time to figure out what was going on at the moment. And he doesn't know that he's 15 minutes ahead of schedule because I forgot to tell him. So hopefully he just keeps going at the current pace, and he'll probably need that buffer when he gets to Columbine.
Alright, in that last section, you may have noticed, but I made a wrong choice getting behind someone who wanted to go really slow through that downhill, which, if you've watched any of my videos, is not my thing. I like to go fast on the downhills, but I certainly want to be safe myself and keep other people safe. So in the section leading up to this single track, I knew I had to get in front of as many people as possible, just playing the odds, knowing that I would be a little faster than most. But even still, as many people as I did pass, I ended up getting stuck behind someone. You can see the person in front of me was able to get around. There wasn't enough room and time for me to get past. And then there's just nowhere else to pass. So you end up in the order that you're in, and you just kind of have to accept that. And I think most people know that that's the case. But the interesting thing is, you can see here, even the person who got around didn't get around the next section. You're just where you're at.
All right, 8:47. I'm parked at Lost Canyon. We have a pretty long way to walk, so I'm just gonna figure out everything that we need for this aid station, pack it up in the bag, figure out if I'm gonna possibly change, because it's probably gonna get pretty hot here. It was 45 when we woke up this morning, but yeah, expecting Steve to roll on through here sometime after 10. Nope, sometime after 9:30. So I'm gonna hustle, especially since he's ahead of schedule and it is close to 9.
So that single track is fun. It's a beautiful day. So again, just something to remind yourself to enjoy if you're stuck behind some people. Afterwards, I did try to make up a little bit of time. I was feeling pretty strong, so I was really putting out the power when I could, especially when it was flat. But somewhere around here is when my stomach started to knot up. It wasn't necessarily bothering me, but I was noticing it a bit, and it was kind of in the back of my mind, like, how do I manage this? What exactly do I need to do? So right here, this is the section coming into Twin Lakes. You'll actually see in a second that this is where I see the men's leader for a brief moment, so that's pretty cool.
Let's go, bud. Let's go, bud. Get it. Yep. Come on, guys. Come on.
And there's the men's chase group that just went by. But this is the Twin Lakes aid station. This is not where I had any crew, but this is where a lot of people end up getting their nutrition, whether it's neutral aid support or drop bags, or if you're using the shuttle system. But my crew, my wife was at Lost Canyon, so made my way through as best I could. Some of these, this section afterwards is pretty punchy. The climbs are very, very, very short, but very steep. So it's one of those areas where it's like, how hard do you want to push exactly? And I was trying to stay on top of things, trying to keep my pace up a bit, not really thinking about Columbine too much. And as we were getting into the wide open areas towards Lost Canyon, that's where I was really starting to think through, what exactly do I need to do about this stomach pain that keeps getting worse and worse. And you'll see in just a second that I actually have the awareness to use my watch, because I didn't have my phone with me, to text my wife to make sure that she has my Usui pack, my hydration pack, which has just plain water in it, because when my stomach starts feeling this way, there go the women's liters, and Lisa Rollins is about to come up. But when my stomach starts feeling this way, the only thing I can really do is back off the carbs and take in plain water to help just dilute what's in my stomach and hope it can work out.
Text Liz Johnson, I need my water pack.
Do you want that other black bottle?
No.
Okay, you do not want me to refill it. The one that you handed me at Outward
Well,
Bound,
it was already full.
Okay, here's your gels. You're a half an hour ahead of schedule of your estimated time. You sure you don't want this?
Yeah, I have another one.
You need anything else? You need ibuprofen?
Well, maybe when I come back. My stomach hurts pretty bad. I'll be okay. Thank you. Love you.
You're so good. I love you. Okay, that took me 25 minutes of very hard, very fast walking, carrying a bag with like a gallon of water, a bunch of water bottles, 2 chairs, but made it to the aid station and waited for about half an hour before Steve came through. He is about a half an hour ahead of when he thought he would get here, so that's great, but he might need that going up Columbine, up the mountain. And he is cramping, so those are the concerns at the moment. I'm headed back to our tent and going to refill his water bottles that I need to give him for when he comes back down. Once some of the other riders that I'm tracking start coming down, I'll have a better idea of when to expect him. And one more development, we definitely have a flat tire on the car. I don't know which tire it is, and I don't know how flat it is. I'm hoping I can make it back from this aid station to Outward Bound inbound, and then to the finish, and deal with it when the race is over. So prayers and fingers crossed.
So we skipped ahead quite a bit. This is the Goat Trail, which is basically the upper 2 miles of the Columbine climb. And it's a little longer this year because they moved the turnaround to, I guess it's the old turnaround. It's something that I had never experienced, but if you've done Leadvilles in years past, you may have seen it before, so a little bit longer. But skipped ahead here because the bottom is basically just looks all exactly the same. And also my stomach was in really, really bad shape. And it started at the bottom of the climb, basically within the first half mile or so after I left Liz at the aid station. And it was very, very painful, very uncomfortable. And I was in that first mile of the climb wondering how on earth I'm going to continue and make it the rest of the way with the way that I was feeling. And I was also backing off the power so much that I just did not know what this was going to mean time-wise. But just like anything else, and just like doing an event like this teaches you, you just keep moving. Doesn't matter how slow it is, you just keep moving. And that's what I did. The interesting thing about my stomach hurting so bad is that it was taking my mind off of the road and how far along we were. And I just wanted to get to the goat trail because I knew I'd be walking. So I was able to stay on my bike until then. And as soon as we got to the goat trail, started walking. And then from there on, it looks different for everyone. And obviously it looks different depending on what pace and what time target you're going after. But it's a bit of walking and riding and walking and riding. And we are now kind of on the top ridge line where the gradient is a lot more mild, and we'll start making our way towards the bottom. And so that was just a massive mental win and physical, but primarily I was in a really bad mental space. I wanted to quit the whole time, especially at the bottom, knowing how far I still had to climb and how bad my stomach was. But I had a lot of gas and just let it come out. And very sorry to everyone around me. And that was the only way that I could feel slightly better. I got to the bottom here and took in what I could, stood off the bike for a minute. Wasn't there for very long. And really just wanted to kind of get back up this steep pitch, which is super annoying about this turnaround. It is beautiful, but the one annoying thing is that you have to keep climbing even when you get to the bottom. So I didn't hang out there too long, knowing that I was going to have to climb some more, and then just enjoyed the descent as much as possible. Again, I like to go fast down this section, but you have to be careful of not just the riders who are walking, but people who are descending slower than you. You don't want to try to force a pass, make someone feel uncomfortable. So did the best I could. I did a whole unedited clip of this from the stage race if you're curious of seeing this whole section without any cuts. But it felt amazing to finally be going back downhill, and from here out, until the last big climb at the end, it's fairly flat. So it's no matter how you're feeling, no matter how bad you're feeling, you can just keep going from this point. So, and the nice thing about my leveling up in fitness is that as slow as I thought I was going, which it was very slow, and I actually, interesting stat, I think it was 160 riders passed me. So I looked at the ranking, and in the ranking you can see 160 riders passed me on Columbine, but it still was fast enough to be on my overall target for the day.
Your estimated time was 12:29, so you're doing great. You did lose a half an hour going up. Put this in the, do you want ibuprofen? Yeah. Do you want Tylenol? Here's your gels. How are you doing? There's 3, see 600. Do you want anything else? Do you need more water? Okay, so I'm gonna meet you with the black bottle that I did not refill and your orange one.
And the orange one with the caffeine in it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
My rain jacket.
I just had to
You got this.
crawl up.
Yeah,
My stomach was so bad. I wanted to quit so many times.
Feeling so good, babe. You got it. Awesome. Okay, 12:31. 12:29. Okay, just saw Steve at 12:30, right on target for his estimate at Lost Canyon inbound. He lost a half an hour going up the climb, kind of to be expected, based on his his fitness level right now. The fact that he, climbs are the hard part for him. So headed back to Outward Bound inbound, and hopefully I can get there before he does. Still have a flat tire, but I picked up a pump from a friend, and I'm going to take care of that after I see him at Outward Bound, as long as my tire holds. Picked up a charger for my phone, but it won't plug into the car. So I'm still running on low battery for the phone. That is okay. Most important thing is just that I can get back in time, get Steve's bottle.
Okay, quick story behind what's happening here. So my stomach had not really relieved itself yet. There was no working out of the tension and pain that I was in, and I was also just having a really hard time just sitting on the bike. Mentally, everything was just really hard. So I decided at this little point to just pull off and get off and stretch. And I took a few sips of a bottle and had meant to tell Liz that I didn't want a second bottle because I just knew I wasn't going to consume it. And I'd forgotten at this point. I remembered, and so I took a couple sips and then just dumped it out to save a little bit of weight.
Okay, we made it to Outward Bound inbound. Car tires are pumped. Bottles are filled. Based on the other riders I'm tracking, we'll hopefully see Steve in about 40 minutes, which would be right on schedule for him. So, we'll see.
Here you go, guys. Here you go, ready?
It's a rough one. I really don't think you do. No, you don't? No. Time-wise, he's...
All right, just saw Steve at Outward Bound inbound. He got there 10 minutes ahead of his estimated time.
So far away.
He's saying he feels like he has no power left, did not want any gels. I may or may not have forced him to consume one. He took carbs and caffeine. We'll see if that does the trick to get him to the finish line by when he was estimating, which is around 4:30. So there's a bunch of climbs left. So we'll see how he does. Oh, and I guess the good news is he is saying that his stomach has settled for now.
We are getting so close. I've passed my last aid station, at least the aid station where I would see my wife. There's still Carter Summit ahead, but we're getting so close. My stomach is actually starting to feel a little bit better, which is great since there's a big climb up ahead. But the problem is that I had not really been taking in much fuel. I had been sipping some water as much as I could, but I had not really been taking in any carbs. So I kind of kept my head down and grinded up that climb fairly slowly, but pretty steady, and was slowly able to take in a little bit more. Liz had not forced me, but really insisted that I take in a gel at Outward Bound, and I did. I took in a 40-gram gel, so I started to get some carbs back in at that point. Started to sip my drink mix, and by the time I got up past Carter Summit and started these kind of descents, getting into St. Kevin's, my stomach was actually feeling manageable. The pain was not as excruciating, and it was really nice. It was a really nice feeling. And this is a point in the race when you start getting excited because all the climbing's over. So even on the original course, by this point, power line and the road climb would be done, but there's still quite a bit of climbing even in this section. There's a lot of these ups and downs, and some of them get pretty steep, and they don't really stop until you're on that steep section of St. Kevin's. So that's kind of the point when you can really get excited because all the climbing is done.
behind your right. Cool.
So this is that point when all the climbing is done. I did not film the lower part of St. Kevin's because it was in pretty rough shape, and for some reason I just mentally had the thought that I didn't want to be recording while trying to bomb down that, and knowing I might take some risks, and yeah, I don't know why, but I didn't want to be recording that. So you make your way through some flat sections, and then there's one last nasty bit. This is the start of the boulevard. I don't know if this little thing has a name to it, but it's nasty. You come out of this like windy dirt track section, and it goes right into this wall you climb out of, and then you start the boulevard. And the boulevard does flatten out a little bit, but it's just a steady incline, just an annoyingly steady incline all the way up to 6th Street. And of course, once you hit the pavement to turn on around the rodeo grounds and get onto 6th Street, you're home free. It's still climbing, but you're on pavement and you know the end is near. I actually couldn't quite do the math in my head because my brain just wasn't fully functioning, I guess, but I thought that I was really close to the 10-hour mark, and I really wanted to try. I've been thinking this whole time about finishing under 10 hours, so I just pushed as hard as I could, kind of fighting the twinges of cramps that were coming off and on, but pushed as hard as I could to finish under 10 hours. Ended up being 9 hours and 51 minutes, and I was just totally off on the math.
Rider number 1894, that's Steven Johnson. Schmidt.
Let's go!
Our next rider up to the finish line is going to be rider number 2796, Darius Palmer out of Flagstaff, AZ. Aaron Houlihan out of Boulder, Colorado, welcome to your finish line. And out of Buena Vista, Colorado, David Marshall.
There you have it, folks. 9 hours, 51 minutes. Mission accomplished. I got my buckle. Got redemption for my 12-hour and 48-minute finish in 2024, which I got to cross the finish line, but that did not get to be considered an official finisher. Did not get the buckle. Did not get the fleece with my name and time stitched to it. But that has all changed now. So this year was good enough for 942nd overall and 260th in my age group out of 357 in my age group. And that may not sound great, but in 2024, there were only 5 or 10 people who finished after me, so I was basically dead last. So this is a massive improvement. Really appreciate everyone following along the journey. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll do a more detailed follow-up with my wife and get both our perspectives, so stay tuned for that follow-up video coming soon, and appreciate you all joining the journey.